Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm Mark, and as always, I'm joined by Jenny. And today, we're diving into something pretty exciting in the energy sector.
That's right, Mark. We're talking about Baker Hughes and their latest announcement. They've launched some new electrification technologies. This is a big deal because it touches on both reliability and, crucially, reducing emissions.
Exactly. It's all about making energy operations cleaner and more efficient. They've rolled out three main technologies: electrified compression systems, microgrid-enabled offshore platforms, and carbon capture-ready turbomachinery. Big words, I know, but we'll break it all down.
Okay, wait. Let's start with those electrified compression systems. What are we actually talking about? It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It time is. Think of it this way. Traditionally, a lot of these systems use gas turbines to power things, right? Like a giant engine. What Baker Hughes is doing is replacing those gas turbines with electric motors. Much cleaner, much more efficient.
So instead of burning fuel, it's running on electricity. That makes sense. And how does that impact things like, say, LNG, liquefied natural gas operations?
That's where it gets really important. For LNG, you need lot times of power for compression. By using electric motors, you're drastically reducing the carbon footprint of that whole process. They're talking about moving towards carbon-neutral LNG, which is a huge step.
And then there are these microgrid-enabled offshore platforms. That sounds complicated.
It's actually pretty cool. Imagine a drilling platform out in the middle of the ocean. Usually they're powered by diesel generators, right? Big, noisy, and polluting. A microgrid basically turns the platform into its own little power station, using renewable energy sources like solar and wave power.
So they're harnessing the power of the ocean itself to power the platform? That's ingenious. And I'm guessing that means a big reduction in emissions too?
Oh yeah. We are speaking upwards of 60% reduction on emissions, and they combine it with battery storage, so even when the sun isn't shining or the waves aren't crashing, they have power. It minimizes the need for those diesel generators.
Okay, last one. Carbon capture-ready turbomachinery. What's the deal there?
This is about future-proofing. These are basically components that are designed to be easily retrofitted for carbon capture. So companies can invest in this infrastructure now, knowing that they can add carbon capture technology later without having to completely overhaul everything.
That's smart. It's like building a house with the wiring for solar panels already installed, even if you're not putting the panels in right away.
Exactly. It's about making it easier and less expensive for companies to adopt carbon capture in the future. And it's important because a lot of these LNG projects are massive investments. We're talking tens, even hundreds of billions of dollars.
So, what are the real-world benefits we're seeing here? Beyond the obvious environmental advantages, are there cost savings?
There definitely are. Electric motors are generally more efficient than gas turbines. We're talking over 97% efficiency for some of these electric motors, compared to around 50% for gas turbines. That means less energy wasted, which translates to lower operating costs.
And what about maintenance? I imagine gas turbines have a lot of moving parts that need constant attention.
You're spot on. Electric systems tend to have fewer moving parts, which means less maintenance and less downtime. And they're incorporating predictive analytics. Basically, sensors and software that can monitor the health of the equipment and predict when maintenance might be needed before something breaks down.
So it's not just about being greener. It's also about being smarter and more efficient overall. This sounds like a good way for Baker Hughes to stand out from their competitors.
It does. While we don't have all the specific details on what their competitors are doing, this kind of focus on electrification and decarbonization is certainly putting Baker Hughes in a strong position. The CEO, Lorenzo Simonelli, even mentioned a huge surge in orders, which suggests the market is responding positively.
And with governments around the world setting stricter emission targets, companies are going to be looking for solutions like these.
Precisely. And it's not just about regulations. It's also about investor pressure and public perception. Companies are increasingly being held accountable for their environmental impact.
What does the future look like for this kind of technology? Are we going to see more and more of this electrification across the energy sector?
Baker Hughes certainly seems to think so. They're forecasting significant growth in this area, especially in regions like the North Sea and the Gulf of Mexico. They're talking about power from shore. Basically, running power cables from the mainland to offshore platforms becoming increasingly common.
So instead of generating power on the platform itself, they're getting it from the grid, which can be increasingly powered by renewable sources.
Right. And there's also potential for integrating these technologies with other sustainable energy solutions, like offshore wind power and even hydrogen fuel cells. It's all about creating a more integrated and sustainable energy ecosystem.
It's exciting to see this kind of innovation happening. It's not just about incremental improvements, it's about fundamentally rethinking how we power the energy sector.
I agree. And, it will be interesting to see how the workforce adapts. There will probably be new job opportunities that open up because of this.
That's a great point. It's not only about the environment, it's about jobs, too. Thanks for breaking this down for us, Mark. It will be interesting to track the progress.
My pleasure, Jenny. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more insights into the world of technology and innovation.
Until next time, stay curious.